Welcome to the Long Story Short Tidbits from a Chief of Staff. It's me, Anne Marie, and I am beyond thrilled for our guest today, Elizabeth Stevens, who is a Chief of Staff who has gone off to do even bigger things. Elizabeth, welcome to the series.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. As Anne-Marie said, my name is Elizabeth Stevens. I'm currently the CEO and founder for a company called DBS Cyber. Our business and our passion is bringing cybersecurity to all of those in need and making cyber safe every American family, every American home, and then eventually every home on the globe. So thank you for having me, and I'm happy to be here.
I love it. I love it. And thank you for telling us what you're doing. I'm excited to have you on this series, and a sneak peek for my audience. We're going to get Elizabeth again, and we're going to go a little bit deeper into what she's doing with cybersecurity. So hopefully that wets your whistle that you want to join us in the future. But today, what I really wanted to talk to you about, Elizabeth, is the Chief of Staff world. And with your exhaustive experience as a Chief of Staff, the thing that I ask everybody is, if you were to identify one or two things that you feel make a Chief of Staff see success in their role, what would those things be?
Ooh. So if we want to talk about, for me, I want to talk about the things that I think are absolutely essential, the
Awesome.
critical pivotal points. So the first thing is you absolutely have to know the person that you're working for. And this is, I say that, and a lot of people are like, oh, I know who they are. No, I'm talking about the Art of War, Sun Tzu. Understand your leader in a way that even that leader may not understand. And I say that because the role of chief of staff is not just a role that sits in line with several different billets. It doesn't have a you answer the phone or you don't answer the phone. It doesn't have a you're a business manager, so you only do business things. A truly successful chief of staff is someone who not only is able to do the basics in a way that allows for operational sustainability as well as operational efficiency, because that's my jam, but also can do the job in a way that elevates their leader and themselves to a position and a perspective that the people that are behind you, beside you, and above you know what to expect out of you. They know how far you can go, and they know when they can put extra or take away and
Right.
still
Right.
make you successful. So that's the first thing. The second thing would be you have to know yourself. You can
Okay.
learn the job,
Mhm.
learn the different things, and many times, as Anne Marie knows, you have to learn new things in order to be effective at a chief of staff. There is no reason, and I say this in jest, Anne Marie, because you know me. There's no reason that Elizabeth Stevens' English major should be writing code, but that's what my boss needed me to do, and that's what the people that I was serving, so his staff, their subordinates and their subordinates needed me to do. So if I need to be an expert on the business, then I need to learn about the business.
Right.
But I can't do that for context, cannot do that unless I know myself well enough to know what I can do, what I know, what I don't know, where I should stretch, and most importantly, where I need to leverage my network.
You know what? So let me tell you what I was hearing from you just now. It's almost like you're creating Elizabeth Stevens' personal racy matrix, because you want to know your boss 3 or 4 levels deep. So that level of professional intimacy, so you really understand how they're thinking. And then I loved how you just talked about you need to know yourself. I haven't had anybody say that yet. That you need to understand yourself, your limitations, what you can and can't do. And the fact that you were able to switch it up and learn coding because you were supporting a group that was something that was really important. I, that's awesome. That's really, really good. And I think you and I both were on the operational excellence train, and having a
Mhm.
background in sales, project delivery, understanding those worlds, but knowing that we've got to branch out. And so really, like I said, going back to what is the racy for yourself? What are you going to make sure that you know that you're doing? And most importantly, what are you going to define the things that you cannot do so you can rely upon your partners and bring them in to kind of fill in those gaps so you can truly support your leader. Girl, thank you.
Absolutely. And I love like that because we do have that shared background, but we are also very different, right? So
Yes.
both of us can be successful. And I don't want people to think that I'm saying that you need to be able to learn anything, because that's absolutely not what I'm saying. I believe, and I know for a fact, that the most successful chiefs of staff that I've met and the most successful leaders who've known how to leverage their chiefs of staff, none of them started out understanding what their strengths and weaknesses were. And so when you get to a point where you are able, because you're going to, chief of staff, I'm sorry to say, our job is to up level our leader, which means they may not be the smartest, not even on their jobs or themselves or their timing or their customers.
Right.
So we have to be. But in order for you to pick up their slack without driving yourself into being overworked or
Yeah.
driving yourself into careless mistakes, because you're a resource, right? We are resources. And
Yeah.
for me, what I would have normally said, or what I say to people who are like into the chief of staff role, is you have to be able to communicate. Because no matter what, if the communication breaks down, you're going to fail. But for Elizabeth Stevens, when things start breaking down for me because of my military background, I know this because I keep testing myself, I know this. The first thing that breaks down is quite literally my communication center, and it's the verbal communication center. So if I don't know when I'm about to hit a point where I cannot communicate what I need to communicate effectively,
Yeah.
how am I going to know whether or not I can take care and back up, like support and back up my leader when he or she actually needs me to do those things? So knowing yourself and knowing your abilities is absolutely essential, but also be able to love learning, like be
Yeah.
able to love the organization that is your business,
Yeah.
right? Because it's your business. I loved being a chief of staff. I hated being a chief of staff, but I love being a chief of staff.
Yeah.
I don't want to chase after no one. I don't want to have to. I've got 3 children. I don't want anymore because they're bad enough. I love them. They are amazing. They challenge me every day. But when I
Yeah.
work with a leader, especially one I believe in, I know his
Yeah.
family. I know what he needs to be most successful. I know how
Yeah.
to speak to him when
Yeah.
or her when they're at their not strongest point, so that we
Yeah.
can get back. So I like, and that's why I do truly love, like, I love the job, but
Yeah.
also take it very seriously.
Yeah, well, and I think what you're also saying is it's going to require a level of introspection on yourself. You're going to have to be honest with yourself. And when you
Mhm.
see those warts, just
Mhm.
treat them as this is something that I need to address, but it's not defining my entire person. It's just this is a gap, this is an area for development, this is something that I can improve. We all have those. And if you're
Mhm.
honest with yourself, then you can jump into the space where you're like, you'd love to learn, you'd love to develop, because it's not a dig, it's a, oh, well, I can be better at that. Let me figure
Mhm.
out how to be better than at that. So I like that. So let me ask you this. I also love to understand what's a gotcha? What is something that either you've observed with other chiefs or something that happened to you where you're like, you know what? Now I know it's a gotcha. Here's how I'm going to overcome it in the future, or how I overcame it if it was something that happened to you.
Mm. Okay. Mm.
I know.
So there are many gotchas for chiefs of staff.
Oh
They're
my
like,
God.
I have mine and it's mine, but there are many like it.
Yeah.
So there are many. For me, so from my personal experience, I would say a gotcha that I like every single chief of staff to think about and be aware of.
Hmm.
Not everyone in the role of chief of staff is a chief of staff.
Boom. Okay. Hmm.
So because I believe in building the ecosystem, because as you talked about, like I don't see the gaps as warts. I see them as beauty marks, and then I have to decide if I'm gonna keep them as
Hmm.
you should,
Hmm.
right? Being able to recognize, amplify, uplift my fellow chiefs of staff is essential, because the way people see them is the way that people see me. Now, I'm not saying that you are carrying every chief of staff around with you. I'm
Right.
actually not saying that. I'm saying if you don't realize that every chief of staff is not the same, whether
Mhm.
it's level, technical expertise, or even actually being a chief of staff, when you reach out to them, whether it's in your time of need or whether you're trying to accelerate something for the two leaders between the two of you, if you don't understand where they are,
Yeah.
not only may you not only may you allow them to fail both the two of your leaders, but they also could completely fail your persona, the chief of staff persona for the
Right.
organizations irreparably.
Gotcha.
So that's it's it's a personal fail,
Right.
but it's also a fail for anyone else that's trying to do the work that you're
Right.
doing.
Right. Yeah. So you're talking about community. That's what you're hitting on is understand the chief of staff community. And as you're trying to figure out how to leverage people's strengths and match energy and meet them, knowing that not everybody's going to be showing up the same way. And so if
Mhm.
you and I are working together as chiefs and we've got our leaders working together and there's something that you're super strong at and it happens to be my weakness, if there is a realization, you can help me move to that next level and vice versa. If I see something with you and I'm like, Elizabeth, I got you. Let's work on this together. Then we uplift that community
Mhm.
and we help continually validate what the role of a chief of staff is, which at the end of the day is the extension of that leader who you support and you understand what they need and you can represent and you can
Yeah.
stand, in their place when they're not there. So I think that's what I'm getting from you, right?
Oh, you're hearing me loud and clear. And on top of that, it's absolutely essential, Anne Marie. Like I am a certain type of chief of staff, and
Mhm.
uh, we've worked together. You know, I have strengths in data analytics and obviously like more tech stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
Part of being the human operator that we are, because chief of staff is a technical proficiency,
Mhm.
has tools, has processes, has doctrine, but not many people know that. It's
Mhm.
like many people know that they need a chief of staff, they just don't know what it's for. And
Right.
so when you come with yourself and you know, and you treat people in that way with respect, and you go, where are you? We're not even just going, hey, you're not the greatest chief of staff. That's not what we're saying. I'm going, hey, Anne Marie, we have the opportunity to impact 150,000 people, and I need 8 hours of your work. And you're like,
Mhm.
why, Elizabeth? Why don't you do it yourself? And I say, Anne Marie, I need to be in the numbers and in the math. And you are a chief of staff that I know can POA&M like
Mhm.
none other. If I need someone to Excel spreadsheet my Gantt chart and keep me on track while I'm digging deep into tech, you're the one. Can you come with me? Now, the first thing, Anne Marie, you would say to me is, I'm not technical. Yes, but you don't have to be. You don't need
Right.
to know context. I'll give you that. And I'm because I know who you are, because I've met you where you were. I
Mhm.
know if I go, I'm going over here, here's everything you need. Tell me what else you need. You're going to tell
Sure.
me what you need. And I can be confident, I
Yep.
can be agile, and I can make decisions for my leader on the fly that I wouldn't be able to make. That's what I'm talking about. Chiefs of staff are amazing. It's one of the
Yes.
best jobs in any industry. As a
Yes.
chief of staff in the military, you can see, do, experience so many different things from a strategic and a tactical level. As a chief of staff in IT, I just did not even, I could not imagine the level of access, the level of like faith,
Mhm.
the level of like consistent like backing that you receive
Yes.
from, I'm going to air quote this because you know where we came from, engineers
Uh-huh.
who first think that you're just a project manager or a project coordinator when
Mhm.
they're like, wait a minute, how did you know that that bug was going to affect us? You gave me the work, I read it, and you told me that this, and this would happen. I just wanted to show you that, what you told me to look out for is what I saw.
Right.
That in itself, with no, and then in that during that period of time, I was not accessing the data. I wasn't accessing the code,
Right.
the product, and it was
Hmm.
scary. But I was listening to the
Yeah.
team. I was hearing them
Yep.
and then feeding it back. And when you can do that for someone who thinks of all PMs and admins as extra weight, that's what it's all about.
So you talked about authenticity, you talked about people, you talked about knowledge, growth, develop, like you dropped so much always, which was awesome for me because it took me to times where we did work together and we were just in the trenches just doing it and seeing results because of the collaboration and learning how to really fortify this role. So I appreciate everything that you said, and I appreciate the journey that you're on. Um, everybody, I hope that you got so much out of listening to Elizabeth because she was dropping bombs all day long. Elizabeth, thank you so much. I want to leave you with the last parting words of wisdom. What would you like to tell my audience before we sign off?
So if any of you are out there and you're saying that you can't, in
Mm.
this case, I'm talking about chief of staff, but like in life, this would apply to.
Mhm.
It's not true. You are actually not the best assessor of your abilities yet or your competencies and capabilities. I will tell you that the best thing that you can do is get in and experience it. Just go give it a try and give it your best try because in two different ways, Anne Marie, we were both in the trenches and we were making some strategic decisions at the level that I remember looking at you and going, they know that we're not the CVPs, right? Okay. And they're asking for our, okay, okay, I guess we got this. And so at the end of the day, you got this.
Yes.
You got it. You just have to have two things, that ability to be truthful with yourself, right?
Yes.
Be truthful with yourself and then plug into the community to fulfill those gaps. And I, I hate to say it because I hate being a chief of staff, but I love being a chief of staff. So rewarding.
Yeah.
Everyone should give this a try, even if just for enough time to understand the organization in a way that you haven't been able to before.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what I'll leave you with. And everybody do cybersecurity, but that's cybersecurity is for everyone.
So it is. It is. And like I said, we're going to have you come back because I want to have a deeper conversation around what you're doing in cybersecurity. But folks, I want to leave you with Elizabeth's last words. You got this. If you're thinking about it, you got it. You can do it. And you've got community and you need to be honest with yourself. I'm Anne Marie. This was the long story short, tidbits from a chief of staff. And I will see you in our next episode. Thank you again, Elizabeth.
No, thank you.